The following podcast has been brought to you by Audible.com. Sign up now using the URL audibletrial.com/TTV to get a free audiobook of your choosing. We recommend Brick by Brick, How LEGO Rewrote the Rules of Innovation and Conquered the Global Toy Industry. You may recognize this as one of the sources we use in our show, Bionicle Autopsy. Remember, that's audibletrial.com/TTV. Enjoy the show.
Alright, everybody say sing when I finish counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Sync.
Hello everybody, and welcome to our video podcast analyzing, not video podcast, but our video and a podcast, analyzing the confirmation by LEGO of Bionicle's 2015 revival. This is a very good day. Yeah, breaking news, guys. We had no clue. Bionicle's back.
Wow, what the
Never saw it coming.
The best, and by best I mean worst kept secret of the year.
Shout out to Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
What? Oh man. But no, this is going to be an exciting episode because not only was there the initial announcement about the mask, which we already covered, but there's been some stuff that has come out over the last couple hours as well. So stay tuned for a lot of exciting news. We're going to talk about it in depth in this video, but before we get carried away, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Messneck.
I'm Barteran.
I'm Brain Victus.
I'm Viper.
And I'm Kahi, coming back in late.
Oh,
Got the
sorry.
X6 Trooper too! Yay!
I noticed there was a lack of sync there.
Yeah.
Somebody's just used a vending machine. Gonna pick up your loose change, or am I gonna steal it?
I do not.
Totally steal it. Why
Steal
not?
everything, man.
Has anyone actually done that before?
Yes.
I do not know. And this is TTV 116. Yeah. So,
Oh yeah,
Yay!
get that hype going.
yep, the hype train has reached the station. We are now disembarking and going on to the hype plane to carry us.
No, we're
There's
killing
a
this
plane
joke.
too
This joke is
now.
over.
The hype plane now boarding to carry us over the hype ocean to get to New York Hype City.
Emergency
on October
exits
9th.
are located in the middle, in the back, and in the front.
Because I saw people saying, like on Eurobricks, they were like, "Oh, can I blacklist the word hype train, the words hype train from my mind forever?" And I
Yeah,
was
no.
like, "Well, would you prefer for me to call it the hype locomotive? Because I can do that."
Choo choo.
The joke has grown very thin, but I still find it
Yeah, it's
funny.
It's stretching at this point.
I think the fact that it annoys so many people just makes it even funnier.
Yeah.
It was like, who cares? Are you like really that upset about people being happy?
Yes,
Yeah.
I hate people's happiness.
I can tell,
That's
Mr. Angry Pants.
Today,
No.
today has
Alright,
not been.
alright.
We had a minor disagreement before we started recording. It's no big deal.
Minor.
I got yelled at for being late. I wasn't even late.
I'm saying the last time. All right, well.
It was very interesting. So
This
we're
won't be a
gonna calm
Bionicle
down.
discussion. This will be a discussion of miscommunication.
Such is life.
Like misunderstanding, clear
Yeah, well,
communication.
yeah.
There's no.
A bit
It wasn't
both.
clear in the slightest.
So we kind of.
As you can tell, God, he's very angry right now.
We kind of expected that there would be a large announcement. I placed my bets on that we were going to get a press release, we were going to get a release date, and we were going to get a picture of a finalized set. One set. Out of that, I only got 1 out of 3 right. That's a release
Loser.
date. Because the initial post on Facebook did not actually have that much. It had the mask of creation, which we now know it to be, and it had a little blurb talking about how it's forged out of pure magic and solid gold. And everybody's speculating as to what the heck that means. I don't really know myself.
Magic, huh? Interesting.
Magic.
You believe in magic.
I think it's interesting that gold is actually a thing now.
Yeah.
I don't
Before it was
particularly-
always protodermis and molten protodermis and special protodermis, and now we have just straight up gold.
You know, you are right.
Oh.
I think this is one of the directions.
The Ignica was gold.
I think this
Like
is.
it was.
Yeah, it was gold colored, but did they ever say
Yeah,
it was
well-
made out of solid gold? Like gold is an actual metal?
Saying it's colored gold and being made of gold are two different things.
Yeah, I didn't know there were other metals in the Bionicle universe besides like
I guess that
Obsidian.
is true.
I think they're just gonna keep it easy for the new audience and stuff. Just oh,
Yeah.
it's just gold now. Like they're like this is part of like the reboot or whatever you might call it. Like they're just from now on they're trying to make it simple. They're not overcomplicating absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So that there might be a potential for a TV series.
This is so totally a reboot.
Okay, yeah, the big topic today, people were expecting confirmation of whether it was going to be a reboot or a continuation. They didn't really get it. Obviously, the continuation people are saying, oh, it's the Mask of Creation, ergo it must be a continuation, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm not so sure either. I can see both ways.
I think it's just, one, it's familiarity, it's a nice Easter egg for those old fans, and two, well, actually, there's three things. One, Easter egg. Two, Mask of Creation, Lego. You know, it's a good thing to start off a new line with being a central power of creation. Kind of fits with the theme. And third, it's something they haven't done yet, so they're not treading old ground.
Lego's always done this kind of imagination thing, you know, like even in Lego Universe, that was like the currency they had, like imagination studs or like imagination stuff. The idea of creativity and imagination is very coherent with Lego's design, so
Exactly.
Yeah, and I also notice a lot of people who are against the whole reboot idea have been really kind of misunderstanding the term reboot and mistaking it for remake. And there's a very big difference between what a remake is and what a reboot is.
I was actually thinking that would be a good autopsy, outlining that to people, because people don't get it.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? I was about to go into that, but you know what? I think I'll save it.
I didn't
Yeah.
get it at a certain point either.
Yeah,
and again, I didn't.
that is
Real
the
quick to
number
people here
one,
right
the
now.
number one
Like-
miscommunication I've heard from this thing. But yeah, give like a short version if you
yeah,
would
it's
be
a
so
short
kind.
version, so.
Okay, basically, when people think of reboot, at least from what I've seen, a lot of people think reboot means that, oh, what they're going to be doing is they're going back to Matanui, and they're starting all the way over, and they're going to have the Toa arrive on Matanui and fight Makuta all over again. That, in some instances of a reboot, that can be possible. I mean, we saw that with Amazing Spider-Man, but a reboot isn't necessarily confined to that stigma. A reboot literally means it can do whatever it wants. It's starting from the bottom up, completely new everything.
Started from
So-
the bottom, now we here.
They can take elements of what there was before and incorporate that, but at any point they're not limited to any past thing. So a remake, they would be kind of limited to trying to get those same elements here. However, a reboot, they can literally do whatever they want. They can take the Mask of Creation and bring it into the story without Artaka being a part of the story whatsoever.
Okay, yeah. That's
They
very
can
true.
they can bring the Toa Mata here without there ever being a Toa Nuva, and they don't even need to be on the island of Matanui anymore. This is their game. They can do whatever they want. This is their freedom to make a completely new lore, meaning it won't affect the old lore. It's completely new.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
good example would be the movies are, compared to the comics. If you look at superhero movies, that they're kind of they really are a reboot of the comic versions of these characters. If you see like the Avengers, right? They took bits and pieces from all the comics and kind of made their own storyline around it. The Avengers never actually happens in the comics. What happens in the movie? They have the concept of Captain America and they change some stuff. They have the concept of Thor. They changed a lot of stuff from Thor. He's not like a doctor with a broken leg and that kind of thing.
What on
The
earth?
same thing happens with Bionicle. You know, yeah, that's the original origin for Thor. He's a doctor with a broken leg, and he finds
Yeah, and
his
his
walking
cane.
cane. Right.
Yeah, his cane's like a hammer. Yeah.
Right. And he taps it, and it becomes a hammer. See,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
completely different.
They just took the concept of Thor and they reimagined it for the movie. That's the idea here. What they could do with Bionicle, they could just take bits and pieces. They could have Takua. They could put him in. They could also take Solek from 2008 and put him in. They could do whatever they want to just with the bits and pieces that they have and create like a whole new thing.
And it shouldn't be misunderstood that this is going to make a very incoherent story. It just means that they can really weave any threads that they want to make a bigger quilt, you know? It doesn't have to be the same quilt. It doesn't have to be limited to anything else. They can have whatever characters they want to be in here and form a story around that. And it will still make sense because they're starting completely fresh.
Well, it's like redoing a piece of work, isn't it? You know, you take all the good parts of that piece of work, like, that you liked, and then you just add it to that, and, you know, you add a bit more elements in there and see if that works. I think it's improvement. It could be a possible improvement of the story.
Right.
Basically.
And it's also... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just agreeing with Viper.
Okay. I was saying the thing that also like adds to this too is that whenever they can introduce a character, you know, as like at the end of a year, or like just introduce a certain character that older fans will know and be like, whoa, you know, like to say someone says, you know, I'm Karzani, and everyone's like, oh crap. Newer fans aren't going to really know about that, but the older fans can, because they know what's happened before, they can come across it. Like, all right, how many people actually know about Thanos before the Avengers movie came out? All the comic book fans are like, oh my god, it's Thanos. Anybody just went and saw the movies are like, who is this guy? Right, yeah, it's like...
Who's Hellboy? What's Hellboy doing in here?
Right, that's the principle that they're going to be using. They're probably going to bring back some of the older characters and like, you know, have them do stuff, but it's going to be in a completely new universe. If it is a reboot.
Yeah. And this whole discussion really is the centerpiece of today's news, because there were a couple other things on this mask people noticed. Obviously, first of all, the question that for some reason people, I guess now that it's been confirmed, people made this logical jump. Oh, text. Sorry about that. If the Mask of Creation is up for grabs and it's the central part of the storyline, then doesn't Artaka wear the Mask of Creation in the story? If it was a continuation, where's Artaka?
Right, and that kind of leads to the fact that we might be seeing an Artaka set come the new wave and the summer or fall, whenever they're planning on releasing the new wave.
Change it up a little. Instead of possessing it, he's one of the people after it, maybe.
That's also possible, or it was stolen from him and the Toll are tasked to get it back. There's a limitless amount of possibilities as far as
not
what
even
could
be involved, honestly. They could just take Artaka out completely.
That is true.
And not have him.
Exactly.
What if they made Artaka like Matanui? Like...
That would be interesting. What do you mean? You mean
like, you know, Matanui, they just replaced Matanui with Artaka.
What, you mean like the giant robot Artaka that everybody lives in?
No. I think they...
No. It doesn't need to be in a robot. Remember.
Yeah,
they're not doing
it's a
remake.
reboot.
They don't need to
Not
be
a
in a
reboot,
robot
a
anymore.
remake.
They could
it is a
do
reboot.
something where Artaka and Karzani are the two brothers.
See, that's such a hard concept for fans to grasp, I think, because...
I know, it is. They're like, why would they do this?
Yeah, we're so used to Bionicle just having its certain flow that it's had for 10 years, so we just don't... With a reboot, we could literally change everything, and we can like I said, we can keep elements. So like you mentioned, Kai, we can have Artaka and Makuta or something be brothers now. And this time they're actually brothers, you know?
Yeah.
It's like they could take those elements and just kind of make it different.
Exactly, and that's really the beauty of the reboot, instead of a continuation where they're shackled to all this nonsense that went on before.
Right. And
see, that's why I'm excited for a reboot, because I would like to see what else they could pull out.
Yeah.
I'm just using Artaka and Karzani because they could create two new characters that are brothers. They could maybe not even have brothers. Maybe there's nothing like that at all in this new version. The reboot is such... It is kind of a daunting thing when you first hear about it, but it's such a freeing thing for writers because they no longer have to be confined to all the stuff that was written before. They can go over and take the best parts of what worked with Bionicle, the best concepts, and rework them however they want to. And that's why I'm really excited, because I've seen like the Ultimate Universe from Marvel, which is a reboot of the the entire Marvel universe.
Exactly.
I've seen that happen, and it was
Okay.
great.
That's a perfect example. The Ultimate Universe is a reboot. If you read Ultimate Spider-Man, it is a reboot, not a remake. The origins still technically the same. I guess you could consider that part remade, but everything else completely different.
Ultimate Fantastic Four is a better example, and because like their origins completely different, the relationships they have is pretty different. The paths all the characters take are pretty different. At the end, Reed Richards become the villain, and then Sue and Ben Grimm get together.
Oh, that's cool.
And so like, and then Johnny joins the X-Men, and he also goes to live with Spider-Man for a bit. And like that, the idea is that like they took the ideas that permeated the original universe, and they kept most of the same. They still have the same powers, same names, that kind of thing. But they're also able to take these characters to places they'd never been before, and probably couldn't go in the original version. You couldn't do a lot of teenage stories with Peter Parker in the original one that you can do with Ultimates.
And see, that's kind of why I'm so. That's kind of the reason we're all such big proponents of the reboot idea, is because it's no secret that we're all pretty critical of how Bionicle was handled towards the end. And with a reboot, they could literally take everything that we liked, all the good aspects, put it in something, and then just throw out everything we didn't like. Throw out anything that was bad, anything that was confusing, all those weird spin-offs and serials and things that no one was able to catch up on.
Alternate dimensions, the genders being confined to elements.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
All of that can be changed. And, like, the things that we did like, maybe, like, okay, Valika was a cool idea. They can keep that if they want to.
That was
Or
a
they
cool
can
idea.
change it. Now,
Or they can
obviously,
change
they're
it
not
to make
gonna do
sense.
what we like directly. They could keep some stuff and change some stuff that we don't like. But the fact that they can change it is refreshing. We know that we're not going to get exactly what we had. We had the possibility of something getting, even greater.
Exactly.
And Bionicle is one of the things to me that I enjoy the most as a concept. The concept of like the tribal island with the steampunk robots and like the magic masks and the elements and the kind of blend, the atmosphere. That's what I love the best about Bionicle. So as long as they keep that, as long as they they go back and really try to capture that feel again, I am 100% for them doing whatever they want to.
Which is definitely what it seems like they're trying to do.
Right. Made of pure magic and solid gold. Like that seems like more like a reboot statement than anything else.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, the poor Greg, he kind of writ himself into a corner by the end of, when he got to the serials and everything.
Doesn't surprise me. I partially blame the Bionicle fan base for that.
Well, Greg writing himself into a corner is what Greg does best.
Yeah, and we can just...
He writes himself into a corner and then he gets out of it.
He wrote some really good stuff, but at the same time, he kind of made it overcomplicated, and then it turns out, oh look, that didn't actually turn out to be that way. And I
Such
can think
is
of
the
a couple of
nature
things that go through that kind of false suspense is a good one. I think everybody knows a reference that everybody knows what reference I'd choose, but
as much as I loved Greg being on BZP and answering all those fan questions, that was probably bad for the lore as a whole because you got more info, but you got too much info.
Yeah,
and you started getting all sorts of offshoots. Like a perfect example of this. The perfect example, and then I'll stop talking about this, is recently someone asked him about Valika's agents. And this is what they asked Greg. Is there a possibility that Valika's agents could include a character we already met before? And Greg said, well, yes, it's possible, so I'll say yes. It would be unfair of me to say it's impossible that it was nobody you met. And everyone said, confirmed, there's a hidden Valika agent out of the 09 characters. This must be the case. He's forced into saying things that then later
and
hurt
also,
the writing.
It's turning into a kind of a Wikipedia, the story is not revealed through writing anymore. It's just through answering questions, and I don't like it being revealed as crystal clear as that.
That's what happens when he stopped writing.
I guess that my main thing with it is that when we interviewed Greg, and he said that it was kind of the same thing where he said his writing style was kind of writing it as he went along, and he didn't really plan stuff out because he wanted to surprise himself.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that he talked about as like he got inspiration from the old radio shows and how they handled the things, and that like it worked well for some parts, and for some other parts it didn't really work well.
Yeah.
Especially when he got free reign over a lot of stuff. As someone who's created their own kind of Bionicle fan, and I used to do comics for a really long time, it's really easy to get too ambitious is what you're trying to do.
It is, yeah. I'm
and
writing.
if you don't plan it out, then like it starts to get very not really confusing, but like it's the first thing that's coming off of your head. And other times, I know that when people would ask me questions about the stuff and I hadn't created it yet, I'll just be like, how about this? And I purpose an idea I kind of had, and because I'm answering that question, it kind of becomes canon already. And now he has to deal with all of that going forward. So the planning is what really hurt the ending of Bionicle. There wasn't like a real set plan to how everything's going to turn out. There wasn't like a lot of pacing or foreshadowing involved. It was all
I have
right
some
there.
advice for anyone who writes. Don't choose the first idea you come up with.
Yeah.
Develop it.
I've been thinking of writing like a story for a while now, and I've had this idea since middle school. And I remember. Oh, that's so amazing! Holy crap!
Well, it's just interesting to hear what people's ideas
that's
are.
some dedication going on there, man.
Whoa!
Ooh, hold up there.
But yeah,
You
go
can
on.
write? I didn't know you were literate.
Get to it.
But anyway, so I've been sitting on this idea of wanting to write a story that I've had like the core elements of since middle school. And I remember I wrote a bit of it for like a school project, and turned that in for a grade, and I came back to it like a year later, and I was like, I kind of want to bridge this out. But the more I like thought about it, and the more I kind of kept writing things down and kind of just giving up on it and that kind of thing, I thought, well, I had this basic outline of where I wanted the story to go, but then I thought about it some more later on, and I'm like, well, I'm really glad I didn't go through with that idea, because that's stupid.
Yeah.
Here's something
Loads
else
of
that would have worked.
ideas.
Yeah, here's something else that would have worked so much better. And I'm glad that I'm not an author and I decided to write that story and publish it or something, and then have that same moment years later and been like, wow, that was a really dumb idea. I've got such a better idea now. And that's kind of the style that Greg is writing, where he kind of goes at it as it is, and the first thing that comes to his head he kind of writes down. It's not really... He doesn't really plan ahead.
I'm sure he's thought about it, but like the ideas and concept, I'm sure he's thought about it a lot. But like they're all they're thoughts that were a little bit unorganized. And when you write in that kind of serial format, it gets a little like jumbled, because you're trying to. Sometimes you change your idea of what you want the series to be midway. Sometimes you do one thing or another. Now, I mean, we don't know everything that went behind the scenes. We don't know if Greg was told to write something that we disliked.
we
have no idea. This is just pure speculation on the information we've been given.
This conversation's very editorialized.
Right, it's very editorialized, and I mean, Greg did do a lot of stuff that we might have agreed in terms of writing, but he's still a very, he was very gracious to interview us. He was very gracious to sit down and give us all this information and interact with the fans.
If anything, it just proves that he's a very competent writer if he was able to actually kind of weave the story in the way that he was.
Right, exactly.
With the writing style that he was going for. Because I know if that was me, the story would have made no sense towards the end of it.
Yeah, I would have completely derailed. And the fact that it's still, like, you could still follow along with it is still, it's evident of the skill in the way he's writing. However, I feel like that style is more fitting towards something that, I guess something that isn't a multi-year franchise, or something that's going to be, continued for a while. I like that there's a story team now, and Greg is consulting, because Greg, he has some really good ideas.
Yeah, I definitely like the fact that Greg is a part of the team, but not handling it all by himself, and I think that's important.
Right.
Yeah.
When he handled it all by himself, it started to get he didn't have to pass any of the stuff he considered canon to any of the other story team.
He didn't have ideas to bounce off of, if you get what I mean.
Right.
If you have
that's
multiple
really
people, you can just bounce ideas off each other.
That is very important. And especially when you're having lull periods where you can't really think of anything, and you're just having some creative stumps, those are the times where you start kind of just grasping at straws of an idea, and you pull something out, and you'll just throw it in there and then move on, and then later you'll realize, man, I could have thought of something way better. And I feel like there's probably been moments like that where Greg probably wrote something where he wasn't quite happy with it, but I mean, Bionicle has a deadline, right? He can't just sit on the idea for a year.
Right, you can't just, say, I'll write it eventually, and then,
Right.
You have to get some book out that year, so it's a lot of pressure.
And that's where it would have
writers aren't
benefited
used
to have multiple people.
Right. Doing multiple writing and, making sure that all goes to plan. Actually, we kind of glossed over this, but Meso, can you read the actual response from Greg that we got, so that we kind of mentioned the fact that he was just consulting, but like that's something that he asked on the Lego message board.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. There was one last thing I wanted to say about the mask, and that was that there's been like a source of discussion, because since this is a bigger version of the mask and we got a turnaround, people thought that the symbols on the mask were the Nuva Cube symbols. But upon further inspection, they're just really, really, really similar. They're not exactly the Nuva Cube symbols. And that's also been some misinformation that's been spreading. One person said it and they were like, oh, the Nuva Cube, and we just want to say, no, it's not the Nuva Cube symbols.
Right.
But it is similar, so that's cool. It's kind of, similar design. But no, Greg was asked if he was part of the story team for the Bionicle reboot, if he was going to be writing the story. And he said no. Greg will not directly be writing the story for Bionicle 2015.
Oh, one thing I would like to note real quick, just kind of random, the last thing he said about the Nuva Cube thing is, while it's likely that isn't the actual Nuva Cube symbols, there isn't anything stating that those aren't the same language of the Nuva Cube symbols. So, I mean, if it is a continuation, well,
that could be interesting.
That is true. The Nuva Cube symbols are really interesting. No one really knew where they came from. Artaka just kind of made them. And if the mass creation is also, true, it might have an element of his design embedded into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a thing. He said, my involvement has been doing some consulting work on the story, providing some feedback, stuff like that. I did not write the new story. And he said that, how long has the Return of Bionicle been in the works? Somebody asked him, and he says, as for your second question, I don't know exactly. By the time I was brought into it, it was fairly far along.
He doesn't say when he was brought into it, but...
Nope.
He doesn't specify.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was fairly recent, though, because he seemed pretty out of the loop when the first rumors of Bionicle coming back happened. But then again, that could have just been him covering it up. But I don't know. He seemed pretty legitimately out of the loop. So.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be like?
He could be very good at faking it.
Wouldn't that be like so?
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
So strange. Like during the interview, he knew the entire time. I doubt so, because he was probably brought in very late into the project. But
I highly doubt he knew at that point. I'm assuming by the time you're interviewing him, Lego was only just thinking, you know what? Let's start bringing Bionicle back.
I wonder if the packages will have like from the makers of Hero Factor or something. That'd be pretty weird.
Doubtful.
They'll probably say from the makers of like Ninjago or something. Ninjago's a much more. If they did at all, I don't think they would. But if they did that, it would probably be Ninjago or Chima or one of the bigger lines.
Hero Factor is not really something to be proud of.
Yeah.
It was alright, but...
No, I'm not saying it was bad. I liked it, in fact, but
just,
it never broke any records or anything.
Right. It's not like... Or like from the makers of the Lego movie,
Yeah.
From the company that beat out Mattel. Whatever.
Well... The first thing Greg said, it was interesting. Someone asked him what are his thoughts on the reboot. How did you feel when you heard the news that Bionicle was due for a return? And he says, happy and nervous too. The return is a big deal, and you really want it to succeed because you only get one chance to bring something like this back.
Yep, he's right.
Buy the sets, guys.
Well,
do it.
I feel like this was something I mentioned in Autopsy, but I'm not sure. But I know I've had this thought for a while. It's just that and it kind of bridges off the whole don't force Lego to bring it back now kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember having the thought that if we really did manage to somehow spam Lego into bringing Bionicle back, and it was so half aid out, and it was very not great. This is probably the only chance of us ever seeing Bionicle being brought back. So you want LEGO to take their time and bring it when they're ready, because if you force them to bring it out and it's not great, I don't think we're going to have another chance of it coming back. So, honestly, I think this might be Bionicle's final run, man. Let's hope it lasts a while. I don't think we're going to see it coming back anytime soon.
Well, okay, I mean, depends what you mean by anytime soon. Like, you say that, but reboots are being made all across the board. Every great movie from the 80s is being remade.
Well, it depends on how
Terminator,
successful this reboot
Yeah,
is.
it depends on how this ends, basically.
Right, that's exactly it. It basically depends on how it ends.
Yeah, and
If
there's
this is
not-
if this is just like the last run where they cancel it because finances just aren't good, I don't think they're going to bring it back.
No.
Now, if they decide to end it and then do like another reboot kind of thing, sort of Transformers like, where they've got new generations every so amount of years, I can see that happening.
Yeah.
And that might be a way to increase its longevity and keep it going for a while.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about
I,
too.
I really think
It is-
they should expand the media, and I think they're doing that because other stuff like Transformers and stuff, the reason that it's kind of rebooted a bit more is because it has a lot of media on it. It's not just toys, it's TV shows and movies, cartoons, like, you know,
Yeah.
it's not just
Video games.
yeah, it's not just a toy line, it's more than that. So I hope Bionicle
Exactly.
goes in that direction. I'd love to see
And
that.
Lego can't afford to do that now, because I mean, like right now, Transformers they have like a lot of big blockbuster movies. They have obviously the toys. They also have like a bunch of video games. There's like the War for Cybertron stuff that's been going on. They have that new MMO. What's that called? Like Battle for the Allspark or
Dark
something.
Spark, wasn't it?
War of the Dark Spark or
That's
something.
not,
yeah.
That's not an MMO, is it?
No,
No,
I don't
sorry,
think it is.
that's,
I think it's just a game.
Yeah, that was
It's
just a shooter game.
Shooter, yeah.
Is it just a shooter? I
Third-person
saw
shooter.
people like announcing it like it was like a MOBA.
Well, the
No,
last
no,
time
but-
someone mentioned a game was an MMO, they were very wrong. Hint,
Ah,
hint, Destiny.
Destiny.
Bro,
yeah.
come on, man.
Shots
Oh.
fired.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Why you gotta be so rude?
Destiny sucks.
No.
Why you gotta be so rude?
Oh, it's such a horrible. Yeah, let's go.
Shout out to the toilet where Destiny belongs.
Oh. Oh.
Oh,
I
wow.
have to have that put in. I have opinions.
I'll be honest, I haven't played Destiny yet. I'm sure it's a great game. Don't hate
It's
me.
so good.
It's okay.
I'm pretty sure I've heard it's good, but while on that note, you said about spamming Bionicle back. I think we should also kind of, I guess we haven't really touched upon it in a while since it hasn't been as big as it used to be, but just for clarification, the Bring Back Bionicle movement, that whole thing of like spamming Lego and like, you know, kind of do petitions or do revival projects. We've always been against that, and we said that wouldn't bring Bionicle back. We still stand by that. Bionicle was brought back not because of these revival projects.
If you think that you personally brought back Bionicle, you need to calm down. No one group brought back Bionicle.
Right.
Lego chose to bring it back on their own accord.
Now, of course, I mean, the fact that there were fans around was definitely a reason for doing that.
Right.
And, I mean, I've had a lot of, like, today, not today, but, like, previously when, you know, the leaks had kind of been released and the set images had been released, I heard about it from a lot of my friends at college, where they're like, hey, so, you know, I heard that Bionicle is coming back, and, you know, like, it was a really big thing in my childhood, and it has a lot of name recognition. So, right, I mean, these are people that don't keep up with, like, a lot of Lego stuff at all. They're not, like, enthusiasts, they're not AFLLs or anything. But they heard about it, and they're like, you know...
Before the Lego movie, Bionicle was the closest thing to mainstream Lego had gotten, I think.
Yeah, it really, I mean, like, Lego has always been mainstream as, like, a toy, but in terms of, like, recognition, in terms of media, like, being, you know, something beyond just the toys, Bionicle is that biggest thing, and now it's the Lego movie. And I guess
Exactly.
maybe, like, Ninjago or something, depending on how that
Now-
movie turns out. But,
I actually asked Greg this a few hours ago. I sent him a question on the LMB because I figured this would be a discussion topic about, I'm curious as to what your opinion is as to what brought about the return of Bionicle. What was the catalyst for saying, let's bring this back?
Hero Factory.
And his answer was, I don't have specific info, but knowing what I know about Lego lines in general, I would assume it was a combination of a perceived need for something new and buildable action figures and focus testing. It's doubtful they would just go Bionicle, and that would be that. It would be tested against other ideas, maybe old ones, maybe new ones, before any decision got made. So yes, it was a process that LEGO did by themselves. External
Yes.
influence.
I can't put enough emphasis on how important focus groups are for companies that do this kind of thing. And for there's a lot of data that we aren't seeing. There's a lot of data that LEGO has as a company because they do this thing for a living. About what kids want, what the latest trends are, what stuff released in certain years do, all these pieces of data that came together, and LEGO's like, now is the right window. If we were ever going to do this, this is now the best window to do it in.
I think
Exactly.
it's a good
So-
time because nerdy is becoming kind of mainstream. We know that because the Lego movie.
It has been mainstream, Viper, for the past
It is.
for the past 8 years. I think nerdy
Since
has been
Iron Man
mainstream.
was in the
I would say, I'd say ever since 2008, when Iron Man became one of the biggest heroes in America, that's when nerdy started to hit mainstream. I
guess
went on
so,
the other
yeah.
day, and I talked to a girl who doesn't read comics at all. She said her favorite superhero was Hawkeye.
Yeah.
That's maybe about in 2005. Nobody would have said that. If you didn't read comics, you didn't have no idea who freaking Hawkeye was.
It was the Dark Knight and Iron Man that has really.
Yeah, those two
things.
big superhero movies, and people have enjoyed them. And I mean, even now, Guardians of the Galaxy, the freaking Guardians of the Galaxy, who are like E-listers.
I also hate to say it, but I feel like the Big Bang Theory might have had something to do with it too.
Yeah, no, it definitely did.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned
Just
in
it
the
was and
comments.
there's also that emergence of the hipster culture, doing stuff that
Right.
wasn't mainstream, and then hipster kind of became mainstream in a lot of areas, and then that kind of defeated the purpose. But a lot of people are going out and doing stuff that they like to do just because they like to do them, not because it was cool or whatnot.
Right.
Even though being hipster
Yeah.
was cool. so-
Nerdy has stopped being nerdy, and nerdy has been
Right.
mainstream
No
for
one
a while
uses
now.
nerd anymore. It's a very outdated
Yeah,
term. So you don't.
It is.
It really is. You don't really call a lot of people a nerd nowadays, because
Except
a lot
for
of stuff
older
that they do.
people.
I guess
I've
older people.
noticed.
A lot of stuff
my
that they
my
do
mum
is very
my mum says I'm nerdy and stuff like that, which is
I'm
true.
nerd.
not gonna-
you become if you were
The
into
thing
comics,
is,
you were
being
the person
nerdy
that everybody
isn't an
went
insult
after
anymore,
movies.
though.
No, it's not. You're nerdy.
It's
Well,
like, yo,
thank you.
nerdy. Thanks, bro.
Yeah, you know it, bro.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, let's
Yeah.
stop now.
I mean,
Kai-
once computers starting being, well, never mind. Go on.
Guy, I know you have to depart in a few minutes, so
I do
I'm
have to
curious
depart
to
very
get
soon.
your final thoughts on all this. And then we're gonna
Okay.
talk about a few more things related to set design before we wrap.
Okay.
But what do you think about all this? What are your expectations going forward? Because we haven't mentioned it yet, but hidden and buried in all of this confirmation, LEGO confirms that Bionicle is the theme they were going to talk about at New York Comic Con, and that we're going to hear more there.
I think and I don't want to again if they bring back Bionicle movement, after I just said that, I don't want to go and say this and be like it was totally us, but I do think that the spreading of the leaks and the leaked set images might have something to do with LEGO doing this announcement, because it kind of came out of the blue.
Oh yeah, definitely. After
Actually-
seeing the announcement today, I'm
Right.
positive that's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Guys, I actually do have something interesting to point out, because someone pointed this out in the forums, but the Lego Facebook page was made in July. The Bionicle
Mhm.
Facebook page was made in July.
July
And-
10th, 1 week.
And yeah, that was around SDCC. That was around the time we started getting the first leaks. This leads me to believe, because I remember someone mentioning this before. I think it was one of our contacts behind the scenes that we're not allowed to
Highly
talk
suspect.
about. Yeah. And he said that LEGO was planning to make an announcement, and that if leaks got out, it was likely that they would postpone it. Which means it's very, very likely that they were planning on doing this announcement months ago.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
guys. Sorry,
And this
guys.
is-
We slowed down the hype train.
It's
I'm-
also very, very likely that instead of New York Comic Con, Bionicle was supposed to be unveiled at San Diego Comic Con.
Oh.
It is very possible. And I guess the thing that lies with that is the amount I feel like Lego got a lot of steam rolling by having this though. Like the speculation and all that stuff that led up to it. I feel like that's a bigger thing. Like there's more suspense and build up to it than it would have been if they released it SDCC without anything.
Lego subtly acknowledged the leaks in their Google Plus message. They said the anticipation is over. Hashtag Bionicle 2015.
I think the leaks definitely helped the Bionicle campaign, because the reason I think this is because had Lego unveiled Bionicle at SDCC and we were getting all of this then, we would have absolutely nothing tiding us over all the way from then till the release of the sets.
Right.
Because of the leaks, though, there was always a constant stream of new, small, minute news that just kept getting people hyped, and it just kept the whole the train flowing up until now. And we only have a few more months left until the sets are coming out, so that I think the anticipation really paid off, and I think the leaks helped. I think it kind of helped keep everything going for a while, and
it got more people involved too. Like it spread to a lot of people. It's the same thing that works with like any movie rumors. You know, like Age of Ultron rumors. There are a lot of movies that would disappear off your radar if you didn't constantly hear little bits of news
exactly
about it. You
like
know,
as soon as you get a big announcement, woo, you're super hyped. Next few days, don't really care until it's out.
Right. Like, okay, here's a big thing. Like any of the clips that's shown at Comic-Con, if they just released that immediately, then people would just be like, oh, whatever. But because they keep it secret, because it's uploaded online at one place for a very short amount of time and it's taken down, and you go and find it and you read everybody's like, oh, this is what happened, if you case you didn't miss it. All of that stuff leading up to the release of the trailer is what makes it big. In fact, honestly, the biggest downtime I feel between like hype for a movie is when the trailer's released and then the movie,
yep.
Right. All the speculation leading up to that is what made all the speculation about the Vision being in Age of Ultron was huge. Kept people talking about it all over the place. When they finally announced it, it was like the culmination of that.
I remember that happened a lot for The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where there was
it's Amazing Spider-Man 2 especially.
Where there was just so much speculation and people were guessing and there was a lot of talks and there was a lot of hype. And then that first trailer came out and everyone just like, woo, cool.
And then it
And then I remember Sony kept trying to get that hype back, and they kept releasing a teaser after a teaser after a teaser, put another trailer in here, and no one cared. No one cared because there's all the stuff we had already seen.
The final trailer, and then the alternate final trailer.
Yeah, it was all the stuff we already saw, and if they had just kind of ridden that anticipation a bit more, released that trailer a bit closer to the movie,
right? Stuff like right now, I think. The one thing I felt Guardians did well is because with their trailer, you really didn't know what to expect of that movie. And when you got the hints and stuff about it leading up to it, the hype kind of build around that. And there was also a lot of word of mouth that came after Guardians. With Bionicle, like right now, I feel like the turnout would have been a lot less if Lego had announced it at SDCC. The fact that all this stuff happened and people were searching out rumors, and with rumors, people discuss them. And that's where you get the people that really get involved in this, is when you have to go out and look for them, and when you're discussing all these things that may be true or might not be.
Because you're always breaking apart the tiny little details rather than focusing on the big picture.
Like, exactly. How many people talked about, oh, is this going to be a mass creation? Is it going to be another mask? Is it what's going to happen? Now we know it's a mass creation. That discussion is over. No one's going to have that discussion again. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be taking apart the mask looking for, oh, maybe this is a clue to it being, a remix of the Ignika or something.
Well, it's kind of brought another discussion. I mean, it goes back around in a circle to another discussion. Is this a continuation or a reboot?
There is a part of the mask we're going to talk about in a bit that's people are analyzing, but that's set design. But it's different than story.
One last thing I kind of get away is the whole thing about is it a reboot or is it continuation? This discussion is another thing that's going to be cut off the moment Lego actually announces if it's a continuation or a reboot. Mm-hmm. Like this whole, where people are debating it on the forums a lot, that's a lot of discussion. That's going to lead up to Bionicle coming back. The moment Lego actually confirms it, they're going to have to follow it up with a new announcement, or follow it up like a clip or something to tide people over until then. Because the moment you officially announce something is where you table that discussion. It is no longer... You no longer can discuss if it's a reboot or continuation. We know what it is. Anyhow,
quite.
I'm gonna have to leave it at that. But where is it? Where is it gonna go with originally? Oh yeah,
That's a
the
good
leaks, the leaks about bringing Bionicle back. Yeah, I hope it's a reboot. I really do. A lot of people want it differently. I would have it no other way. A reboot is the best thing for Bionicle right now.
Yeah, the more I hear news about this, the more excited I get. I'm kind of one of those late hype people. You know, I don't really get hyped for something like Christmas until like Christmas Eve. I'm just like,
Yeah.
Christmas, whatever.
Yeah, I
I
get that.
can't
I still get
sleep.
super hyped for Christmas. I stopped believing in Santa Claus years ago, but man, Christmas does not get me hyped. Oh, shout out to Santa Claus. He's totally real, by the way, kids.
Ah!
Spoiler.
And that's the day Barteran became the Grinch.
So-
He's real. I said he's real.
Wow.
Okay.
Well,
He laughs manically like the Joker.
see ya.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, I'll be going. Tim, thumbs up on the discussion. Before we go, continue the discussion in our message boards. Sorry.
Yeah, and our
Which I've
message
been
board.
tirelessly working to get up after yesterday. That was
After you broke
the
it.
longest 4 hours of my life. I swear.
Dude, I remember I had like passed out after school, and I remember waking up and checking Skype, and you guys were saying, "Oh, the boards are down. Oh, the boards are down. Crap!" And I'm just like, "I'll let
did
Kahi
I-
handle it."
Did I
And
tell
then I
you?
went right back to bed. Can you not interrupt me in the middle of my conversation? Okay, anyway.
Oh my! It was a just bootstrap error, and then there was like the launcher thing, and then the pages couldn't be found, and there was the plugins that
By the way,
didn't
yeah.
update after.
What happened?
Okay, so it turns out that the thing about it is that the plugins worked. The forum was live for about 5 minutes after the update happened, so I was going on there and doing stuff, and then suddenly all the pages become private. So I'm like, well, all right. So I went through and I looked through all the errors. I tried rebuilding the apps. I tried doing different things with the containers we had, and I guess there was an error with a stop container. And basically, what happened is that one of the plugins was not compatible, and we used to have I updated Discourse alongside doing the plugins, and by the time it finished updating, that plugin was no longer compatible. And it kept giving us a lot of errors, but there was no way to really know it was the plugin. I finally found it by using some error log stuff that you can type in console and stuff.
Which plugin was it?
It was the new I had to remove the shared edit one. I had to remove the tagger one too. So we were supposed to have tags.
Oh, the tags.
Right.
Okay.
And those did not go through. So until there's a fix for that, we probably won't have tags. That was supposed to be a big feature for Destiny Day. And we didn't get that settled across. But fortunately, everything was fixed like really late at night. And
Yes.
there's
your forum update for
Right.
the day. So we
if
will-
you're registering on the forums, please know that we've reached our email quota. We are manually approving members at this time. We check it very often, but if you're waiting on the email, unfortunately, we can't send it. Our quota has been reached because of all the errors have led to a lot of emails being generated, apparently. And that's never issue that we're gonna have to work with. We're not experts at this, in case you haven't noticed.
Yeah, we're
This is a
learning on
new
the job.
experience for us, so stay with us.
Thank you, Kai, and we will see you later.
All right, I'll see
See
you all.
ya.
Rest
And
in
now,
peace.
let's resync.
Yep. Everybody, sync in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sync.
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 I'm still
Hey,
recording,
Mange.
though.
Hey, Mange, are you there? Yeah. Well, no, not really. I just wanted... I'm curious about your opinions on this whole spiel. You've been rather silent, but... I know, but this is your time. I'm curious as to what you think.
Okay, well, I'll keep it short, I guess. With the announcement about what the Mask of Creation was, and with, like, the Toa becoming masters and all that, it reminded me of when we interviewed Greg, and I specifically asked him the question that someone had about if he would prefer a continuation or reboot, and he said he would want a reboot because he would basically want to create new mysteries, something more intriguing to pull people into like wanting to know more about Bionicle. And I think all the stuff that they're introducing now is definitely like new mysteries and stuff. They've changed how the metal is going to work. I'm going to imagine, since they said like the pure gold that's different from protodermis entirely. That's pretty nice. And then like raw magic. That's a new thing to wonder about. And then oh, what else? Oh, just that it's the Mask of Creation this time, and it doesn't seem like attached to anyone. So there's a lot more to wonder about with what they're going to handle with Bionicle, and I like that. It just reminded me of that question, though, that I asked him.
When you get back from your 2-year break, will you be doing Invictus analyses of the new Bionicle games?
I gotta finish the old ones first.
Analyses. Nice pronunciation. That's so.
I
couldn't even pronounce pronunciation.
Plural of analysis. It's just fine.
Yeah. Don't criticize me, Viper.
Don't criticize me when you're wrong, Viper.
Sorry, just making analyses.
Wow, you're a jerk today.
Well, there is one more thing I wanted to talk about with the mask, and it's not story, so it's not going to have as much discussion value. But in the instance of connection points, the video that they showed was a 360 turnaround of the mask, so you can clearly see its interior. At least in this CG rendering, there is no axle on the top. There is no axle on the front. Instead, there are like hinge joint clips on the back that connect to both sides of a head. Kind of like the Knight's Kingdom visors, if you ever got those sets.
Yep. Just like the Knight's Kingdom visors.
Yeah, just like that. And in a way, I'll be honest, that's kind of more true to how you would actually wear a mask than anything LEGO's done yet.
It is, let's be honest.
Yeah, but it kind of kills backwards compatibility. It almost entirely.
Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore, Meso.
It's like the Xbox One.
This is just like the Anika mask, basically, except that LEGO is going to be using this style from now on. So, unlike the Anika mask, where you can only connect it to those, we'll have multiple masks. But
yeah, and this is kind of been a trend they've been going with lately. The Chima Construction sets use this for like hinged jaws that you can open and close. So it's not new, but I didn't exactly expect this. I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah.
Baraka.
It is kind of disappointing. There's multiple things that kind of disappoint me about it. It's just that I do miss the fact that backwards compatibility isn't a thing anymore. That kind of sucks, because that makes mocking a bit more of a pain. But yeah, it's whatever, I guess. I'm very curious to see what the new heads are gonna look like. But also it creates this kind of ugly looking 2 prongs that kind of stand out on the back of the mask that is kind of annoying to look at.
Yeah. Well, this is a topic of debate, because on the leaked set images, at least, a lot of the masks kind of looked like they had those pegs on the front of the face, the circle injection molds that are typically indicative of an axle connection. So I'm not entirely sure if it's just for this mask that has that attachment point, or if the new head has multiple attachment points so they can have some masks a certain way and some masks other ways.
We were talking to BS01 earlier, and one of them mentioned, I think it was Zox, that it's also highly possible that the Mask of Creation is designed in a way that it can clip over other masks. Similar to how the Vaki was shown in, the Vahi was shown in promotional artwork, where it could clip over Vakama's Huna.
Yeah.
That has been one idea, and
no, I'm not trying to get anybody's hopes up, because as I'm examining these pictures more, all the defenders, their masks extend backwards in a similar way as this one, to where I could see them having the clip points. And the skull spider head, I can clearly see the clip points. I will link a picture of the water defender if you look at the skull spider mask. Right below his legs. You can see where it extends backwards.
Yep, can see it.
Yeah.
It would definitely be a very unique idea. And
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I
But
don't-
it's just a bit of a shame. I was hoping. I know Vin, especially. Vin's gonna be heartbroken. He was hoping for like a new head where you could fit the old masks on, and you could fit these new masks on the Metru heads.
no.
Oh no.
But why? I really would love that, but I don't.
Lego wants to try their new ideas. The new head will probably have a facial expression where if you lift the mask up, you can see the face underneath.
Just like, hi, I'm ugly. How you doing? Yay.
I really wonder what this is going to mean towards the new headpieces, because one thing I really liked about Bionicle of the olden days, before we got to 08 and on, was that we had these nice kind of intricate looking robotic heads that looked really cool. Before the Iron Man heads.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh.
well, yeah, I honestly didn't really mind the Anika ones because we never got those ever again, so it's like whatever. But I don't know, man. I really hope we get some kind of cool head, but I'm afraid that it's going to be something bland.
I will tell you this right now. For the purposes of mocking X,
Aw.
yeah, I would say X and VAR are probably the biggest mockists on this call right now. It's going to be more difficult to use the heads for things other than masks now.
I
The
just
masks,
scrapped the ideas pretty much. It's just,
Yeah.
no.
It's pretty much impossible depending on the style of the new head. You could still theoretically make it work, but it would depend on the head. But from a set design perspective, I will be happy so long as they go back to having like colored eyes via the brain stalk and a neutral head color.
That'd be cool. I would like that so much.
If that's a thing, I don't care about what
that's
the masks are, because you can just, if you want to use them on other figures, you can just use the new head and it'll work
Right.
fine.
That's kind of what I was saying, where I hope we get more 07 below style heads, because they used head stalks or brain stalks, and I prefer that over the colored translucent headpieces.
Yeah.
So
If we get that, I really don't care how they attach, because you can backwards compatible just those heads. It'll be
Yeah.
fine.
I hope that's the case. I'm very doubtful of it, though. These masks do not give me much hope. One cool feature though about the new mask will be that they can flip up now. So
Yeah.
I guess
Flip,
that's
bro.
neat.
Yay.
Flipping, yay! So next gen, future is
Um,
now.
So
Wait,
yeah,
I wonder if you can use the Knight's Kingdom visors on these new headpieces and they'll look moderately cool.
I'm sure you probably can. They're using the same connection parts.
Knight Omega Tahu.
I guess the only difference is that I'm pretty sure the Night Kingdom ones, their clips were kind of inside the mask, whereas these masks have like the clips kind of protruding outward.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't know.
It's gonna be interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, I wonder if there'll be any playability like there was in 01, where you could like smack the mask off.
Oh, with arms.
Possibly. I'm not positive. It'll probably smack the masks up, now that I think about it.
Yeah, probably.
Since they have gear functions again, you just like hit the mask from below and it'll flip up and kind of
That-
that'll count.
It's very possible.
Now let's take a look. What's there behind that mask?
Yeah, that makes sense. I have no clue what you just said, Viper.
Mask of Light reference. You know the bit when he jumps on Pterodax, tries to pull his mask off.
So yeah,
Oh,
breaking
right.
news, TGV confirms Bionicle game for 2015. Knock the
Sure.
masks up.
No, but that actually makes a lot of sense, though, because I know losing mask was always a big problem back when that was a feature, because the mask would fly off and they could go anywhere and you would lose them. So it makes sense now that if they wanted to do something like that, they wanted to avoid that issue, that instead of punching the mask off, you uppercutted it upwards. And that
Yeah.
way, you know, you still win the game and the mask still stays attached, so you don't lose it.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's a neat feature, I guess.
Still want the axle though, because my
Yeah,
opinion-
I don't care about stupid games enough to warrant losing
I'm
that
not a
axle,
kid
but
anymore.
it's interesting. It's an interesting feature. So, truth be told, that's pretty much it. Lego confirmed January 2015 is the release date. In January 2015, we'll take you on a journey to find them. We'll take consumers around the world on a journey to find the masks of power, etc.
Yay.
Very
And it
exciting,
will be at
kids.
Comic-Con on October 9th, and we're going to hear more details then. That's pretty much it. Unless anybody else has anything else to say, we've covered all our news.
I think that's about it. Except for maybe screw you, anyone that says that we were against this whole thing happening. You're completely wrong.
Yeah, I have a lot of people on Reddit that I
You
need to
morons.
message. Yeah, to say, but
Yeah, I see a bunch of people going like, "Oh, TTV said that this wouldn't happen, and now look, we brought this back."
Yeah, we already made it clear earlier, but no, you didn't bring anything back. Calm yourself. And also, we never said it wasn't coming back. We just said
Yeah.
that you spamming people isn't going to bring it back. Which
VAR warned everybody. Don't spam, it won't do anything, and if Bionicle comes back, expect some changes. And now, what do you know?
Yeah,
it's
guess
using
what?
the Hero Factory building system, and the masks aren't backwards compatible, and Greg's
they've-
not writing the story.
And they've dropped Toa and Matoran and possibly Kanohi too.
And probably
yeah.
Protodermis as well.
Guess who has been 100% correct so far? This guy. So yeah,
we're all
Dumb-
really happy about it.
dumb people posting in comments saying that you might want to watch my video again because so far all my predictions have come true.
Yeah.
Fortune Televar.
Okay, here's what you need to do, VAR. Bionicle Autopsy. Bionicle Autopsy, the return of Bionicle and how it would be handled. Examine the autopsy.
Wow, just
Autopsy. Actually, no, what should we call it? Secondary examination or something. I don't know. We'll end this. This is going off the rails.
Off the rails like the hype train, woo!
Thank you,
I
Ed.
swear, the hype train's
Main-
like flying now, off the rails. It's
That's what I'm saying. The hype train has been. It's stopped. We've transitioned vehicles to fly across the hype ocean. To October 9th.
I really wish you could make our announcement.
Yeah, we should end this.
Yeah. Mange, before we end, do you have any other things to say?
I guess I do. Probably the last thing I would say is it might be a disappointment right now that the masks and headpieces are probably not going to be backwards compatible, but if Bionicle is going to run for a while, like at least 5 years or something, then it probably won't be as big of a problem in the long run because there'll be more masks and whatnot.
Yeah, no, it's really an issue for older fans than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright.
But as I said in Bionicle Autopsy, this reboot isn't really for us, so
Wow. Yeah. Oh, look, also, apparently the coming soon page is back when you search Bionicle on Lego.com.
yes, I did see that, so that's great.
That's funny.
New
well,
from
okay.
Bionicle.
Kopaka looks cool. That's my thoughts on the sets,
Oh.
by the way.
Also,
Yeah.
some friendly advice for all of you people who are smart enough to go on eBay and purchase Bionicle sets. Guess what? You just did a great investment. Those sets are going to be worth so much now that there's Gen 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Really?
imagine. Yes, I imagine eBay prices are going to skyrocket.
You know that like £8 million altogether sets, every set that ever existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, double that.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a lot. Because I imagine how much like a Gen 1 Optimus Prime goes for right now.
Oh my god.
It's just, yeah.
We're
depending,
transitioning.
depending on how long. Okay, sorry.
I actually want to
this will
search
never
that
end.
up.
No, I was saying we're transitioning generations, so stuff's gonna be very pricey.
Yeah. It will be, especially for collectors. There are going to be collectors out there who really want everything. And if you have newer kids now coming into the line, they grow up with the new Generation 2 line and they really want to explore Generation 1 because Gen 2 meant so much to them, they are going to pay a hefty penny for some of those Gen 1 toys, so...
Mm-hmm.
Don't break
If-
them.
So yeah, you better get them while they're hot because they're going to be pretty expensive soon enough.
Yeah. Well,
Tune in the next episode of Lego Investments featuring Varn Viper. But yeah, that's all.
okay. Thank you all very much for listening to our analysis of what little news was actually released today. Not as much as people were hoping for, but still a hefty bit nonetheless. Bionicle has been confirmed, hype plane, etc., etc. Stay tuned to TTV for all the latest Bionicle news. Check out our website at ttvpodcast.com. Check out our message boards at boards.tvpodcast.com. Not boards.
And
Board.
also,
Singular.
sign up for a free audiobook of your choice at audibletrial.com/TTV podcast.
Yeah, and also...
No. /TTV.
Grah,
Yeah, there you go.
I don't want it.
But Viper, it's a free audio
It's a
book.
free audiobook.
I'm,
Why do you not want it?
I'm joking. There's some people who are like,
Get it now.
ads.
It's free.
You can cancel your account. You can cancel your account at any time. In fact, you can cancel it right after you get your free audiobook. Probably not supposed to say that, but I'm saying it anyway.
Yeah, so thank you very much for listening. I'm Messinek.
I'm Barteran.
I'm Viper.
I'm Tenebrae Invictus.
And I'm a useless trooper, and Parmesan is overrated.
I have
What?
no clue what you just said.
But yeah, good night,
That's
everybody.
it.
But
Did you say
let's
Parma?
go.
Did you just say Parmesan is overrated?
No, it's underrated. I was meant to say underrated. I love Parmesan.
I
I
heard
heard
overrated too.
Yeah. I
Whatever,
said something
whatever.
wrong.
See y'all next time. See y'all next time for the next exciting episode of the TTV podcast.
Nah, pizza and spaghetti, yo.
Bye, guys.
Get it, SpaghettiOs and Spaghetti-O.
Bye, guys.
Goodbye.